Okay, welcome everybody. So I'm here with Jackie Fast, who you will know from Sunday's Apprentice Final, which was a momentous event, and Jackie absolutely stole the show. It was a brilliant performance. Although she wasn't one of the finalists, she did make it to the ninth round, which is highly impressive, and was one of the very first candidates to be booted off as a result of being too good and too overqualified. So we're going to explore some of that today. We're going to talk about The Apprentice, but first of all we're going to start by talking about Jackie's story, and we're going to try and sort of take a deep dive into various different subjects. We're going to talk about Rebel Pie, which is Jackie's new brand.
Yeah.
And so without further ado, let's sort of start with, obviously viewers will know a great deal about you already, but they won't know the full story. So you're obviously Canadian. Let's nail down that accent.
Yeah. I mean, I had so many people asking me if I was Irish, American. I am Canadian, from Vancouver, BC.
From Vancouver,
yeah.
Fantastic. So how did you find yourself on the London entrepreneurial startup scene?
Well, actually, I came here to backpack Europe after university. So I had never been to London, never been to Europe. So I kind of packed up some stuff. I thought I would be home in 2 months, and I'm still here. So I've been here about almost 15 years now.
How old were you when you started?
20. I was 20. I just don't want to give away my age when I was 20.
That's what we haven't said what it was, so that's fine. And why London? Why? What sort of?
Do you know what? I was always a very ambitious and determined little girl, and I think I came here and I just saw so much opportunity, and it felt so buzzy, and I met all these cool people that were doing all these amazing things that I had no concept about, and it just felt like I could do stuff. And so I kind of stayed. I got a job. My first job was actually at a gym, being a receptionist, because I didn't have enough money to go to a gym. And being Canadian, we're a very healthy lot. And then I slowly just kind of took every opportunity that I could, and here I am, still here today. I love it. So.
Fantastic. So it's literally you started off nothing holding you back. And how did you go from sort of working in a gym? So by now, at least you're working out by now. But so what was the next sort of stage on your journey towards being a full-blooded entrepreneur?
So unfortunately, the gym did not give me a visa, and so it was really so I needed to get a visa. I originally came here on a 2-year working holiday visa, where you can work a year and holiday a year. And so my visa was running out, and I really wanted to stay. And so the only way I could have done so was to marry an English person, which, by the way, I would have considered, or get a job, or get a really good job and have that employer sponsor my visa. And I was very, very lucky that I convinced the Direct Marketing Association to sponsor my visa.
Well, direct marketing. Okay, so this is the beginning. So by now you already know that you're going to sort of be in the world of sponsorship. So was that sort of like something?
No.
Oh, okay.
So what happened is I was doing minutes. I was trying to apply for a job in finance, and I had little experience and no visa, so it didn't go very far.
Got in the feeling, yeah. Sort of pursuit of happiness style sort of thing, but with
and so while I was doing minutes, I think they had said, "Oh, Jackie, there's a job to be an events manager. Would you do that?" And I said, "Well, does it come with a visa?" And they said, "Well, why don't you do the interview?" So I went into the interviews, and the marketing director at the time, it was a really easy interview. And then at the end, he said, "Do you want to be an events manager?" I said, "Oh, yes. Well, I can do this job. These are all the things I've done." And he said, "No, you're not answering the question." He said, "Do you want to be an events manager?" And I said, "Like I said, I can do this, that, and the other, and this is what I've done before." And he said, "No. He's like, we know you can do the job, but do you want to do the job?" And I was like,
subtle difference.
Yeah. And I was like, well, like realistically, I just need a visa. Like, I mean, I would.
So do you want the visa or do you want the job?
Oh yeah, I just wanted the visa. I mean, I would have swept toilets, really, quite frankly, at that point. So I really thought I was going to have to pack my bags and go back to Canada. But fortunately, I think 5 days later, he stopped me in the hallway and he said, "I've got this idea that we could do sponsorship here, and I think you'd be really good at it." And I was like, "Does it come with a visa?" and he was like, yeah, it would come with a visa. I was like, "Okay, I'll do it." I had no clue. I had no idea really what sponsorship was. I did a bit in Canada, but they called me sponsorship because the marketing person at the time didn't want me to have the same job title as her. So it was a bit misleading. But that was my entry really into having a real job in sponsorship in the UK, and all really happenstance.
Yeah, fantastic. And so, I mean, as you said earlier, you were very determined as a young lady and stuff. So, I mean, how soon, when you got into the job, I mean, did you find it sort of satisfying doing what you were doing, or how quickly did you start to think, yeah, can I take this and run with it myself, or that kind of thing? I mean, how long did it take to get from?
I mean, I'm still like, can I run with anything? I mean, I think, unlike probably, I mean, it's hard to decipher the bullshit, but, unlike most people, I did not foresee most of the next steps. I think I was so happy to have a visa, and I was so prepared to work as hard as I possibly could and do the best job I possibly could. And I have always been like that. If I have a job where I'm not happy or I don't like it, then I lose interest really easily. But my whole livelihood was riding on doing a good job in this new role that I was given. So I mean, I threw everything into it. I didn't really think twice about it, and I spent a lot of time understanding what sponsorship was. And my very first meeting, my target of the year was £50,000, and my very first meeting I secured 15 grand. And so I was like, okay, that's good. I mean, by the end of the first year I did £187,000 in sponsorship.
Wow.
And
I was going to say, if it had been me, I just would have said 15, but I would have tried to make it sound like 50. I raised 50 grand, so it's all good.
Yeah, I mean, I was, fortunately I got to keep my job, but I mean, my employers were like through the roof. I mean, I increased their margin, like over budget. I was £130,000 over budget for an association. It was unheard of. It was like, at that time, it was unheard of. Yeah, it was great. And so that gave me more leverage to do different things, try different things out. And I had a lot of scope. I mean, I ran my own department. I got to be involved with membership. I got to explore a lot of the UK. A lot of the clients that I was selling sponsorship to were based in Hull or Leeds or a whole bunch of places I'd never been before. So it gave me the opportunity to see the country, understand business from a different angle, because I understood kind of the big businesses, because we were an association. I wasn't siloed, if you're working in a client or an agency. So I mean, it was the best grounding and the best kind of foundation I could have ever had.
Yeah, fantastic. So you pretty much fell on your feet straight away.
Yeah,
I guess, and then so £187,000 in the first year, pretty damn good. But obviously, I mean, you've gone on. You've written the book on sponsorship, as we know. So and you went on to found Slingshot Sponsorship, which is pretty awesome. And the book is great. I've read it and serialised it on Haggerston Times, so check that out. But I mean, so tell us how. So what was the sort of next move? So you've done this, you've hit this, you've travelled all around the UK. By now, you're getting used to sort of London life. You already know like what the UK is like and stuff like that. Probably more than like.
I mean, it didn't occur to me to change my role. What happened was, I was getting more and more successful within my role, and I was getting more confident in what I could do. And a job came up for a commercial director role. The association was undergoing changes. The recession was about to hit. Times were harder. Membership bodies as a whole are, not necessarily on decline. They're challenged.
2008 sort of time.
This would have been 2007.
Wow. So you're commercial director. I mean, that's like a director role. Normally, you'd have to be up to about 50 before you can even think about that.
Well, this is what happened. So I really felt I had the skills because of what I had done, all of the stuff. And, I went to the CEO. I mean, I had a good, in hindsight, I mean, I think it was a stupid move, but I went and I said, I would really like to do this role. This is why I think I can do this role. And they basically said I was too young. And that I needed more experience, I needed to be older. And I said, well, I've got all of the experience you're looking for. The only thing I'm lacking is, it was in membership areas. And I said, this is how I'm prepared to work on it. I mean, I went in with a really strong pitch, and they basically just said I was too young. And so I took that on board, and, they said, if you wanted to have more experience, you should get more education. So I went on and got my master's in finance following that decision. But they hired somebody who had been made redundant 11 times in 7 years. And I tried to overlook that However, it got so bad that you would pitch him an idea and he would pitch it to you the next day. And I mean, if you've seen my lack of patience on The Apprentice, it's not something I take lightly, basically.
Yeah, you're obviously an intelligent person. You haven't got a great deal, but you don't suffer fools gladly.
Yeah.
But so if Jackie Fast from 2007 came in and applied for a director role that you were interviewing, what would you tell her? Would you give her the job?
Oh gosh, yeah. I mean,
yeah, straight away.
I think the thing, I've always been hit. I'm also a woman, so I've got that as well. But I've always been hit with age. I'm not old enough to do this. I don't have enough experience, etc. But I work damn hard, harder than most, and I'm willing to learn. And I think that is so important. And especially in the current climate where people are changing jobs ever more frequently, they want to get experience. They want to be challenged. If you're kind of going to somebody who is 24 and hungry to be a director or whatever, there's a better way to nurture them than to shove somebody older and stupider as their line manager.
Yeah.
No offense. And to me. So, I mean, I didn't last long in that situation. So I was effectively forced to quit. I mean, I quit, but I couldn't work there anymore. It was like, it was just the worst thing ever.
It's almost like a London rite of passage, isn't it? You have to have a horrible, exit from a job at some point. I don't know why. I mean, it would be much better if you could just have a job. But okay, so you leave that place.
Yeah.
You're done with that. You're done with the DMA.
Yeah.
Time being, do you feel like you've gone back to square one? You're kind of like, oh my god.
Oh, I mean, it was horrible. So I still was not a permanent resident. So my visa was then dependent on me being able to show that I could be financially secure after leaving my job. So I applied for this is an amazing story as well. I applied for every sponsorship agency job in London and actually some that were outside of London, kind of explaining what I had done with the DMA. I applied for National Business Awards, I applied for all the big agencies. 0 people would interview me. Nobody would even phone to have a phone call with me. Nobody was interested.
Why do you think it was?
Well, I know exactly why. Basically, 71% of the sponsorship industry is sport-based. So most of the work is sports sponsorship. My background was B2B sponsorship. Okay. So people didn't really see the correlation and were looking for somebody with direct skills. Ironically, I had tried to get an interview and a job with 3 competitor agencies, one of which I almost bought out 2 years ago, and one of which went under the year before that. So I mean, it's just it makes me a bit happy and a bit smug. But also I think it's a good lesson in, I mean, everybody thinks that what I've achieved is so amazing, but I mean, I was kicked in the teeth more times than probably anybody else that I've met.
Did you have to be, or do you look back and just go, well, that was just you wasted a year of my life for no reason, or did you think you needed to have some knockbacks? So it's an interesting question. I mean,
no, I don't think I needed the knockbacks. I think that the knockbacks helped me get to where I probably would have ended up much later in life. I think if I would have went into an agency, I would have had a great career with that agency, but it would never have been my own. And I always struggle with working super, super hard for other people because I am, I'm a bit like that, tit for tat. Like I will measure it, and if somebody leaves the office before me and they're getting paid the same amount, I would. Yeah, I mean, I just get incensed. Like it just pisses me off.
And what do you do? Do you bring that up with somebody?
Yes, yeah. I mean, I bring it up with my.
This is how you make it in life.
No, there's better ways to approach things. I mean, I lack the tact that I probably.
And when you do that kind of thing, like, do you go public to the person who leaves early? Do you tell them, I'm going to go and tell such and such? Like, do you leave it open, or do you go behind the back?
No, never go behind the back. Right. Mostly because I think that if you are going to be upset with something, you should have the balls to say that thing to somebody's face. Ironically, you bring that up because I sit on the board of the European Sponsorship Association, and I brought up the lack of attendance by other board members. And I mean, following it, we went for Christmas drinks, and everybody's like, because I was thinking, maybe I shouldn't still be in it because I'm not in sponsorship, and they're like, somebody needs to stay to say what everybody else is thinking and nobody's willing to say.
Yeah.
But I find that interesting because, I mean, if nobody's willing to say anything, then nothing's going to change. And, you know, I'm always the person, I don't mind being the negative. I mean, I don't mind being the villain in The Apprentice, but at least it gets shit done.
That's interesting. You're afraid to say, well, we'll come on to that. But I mean, yeah, I wouldn't have cast you in that role personally.
I wouldn't have.
I'm sure there are plenty of Apprentice fans who have an opinion on that. Please do leave a comment in the comment section below, and subscribe and all that stuff as well. Okay, so I mean, I think part of that, you know, a lot of the stuff you talked about there are sort of like typical traits of an entrepreneur, I guess. Like, you know, the sort of like, I think the intolerance of people who won't work hard, or like, you know, sort of like, you're already sort of measuring your thinking, what's good for this company and stuff like that, rather than just going and punching the hours and going home, whatever. So then you did start your own business, Slingshot Sponsorship. So, and I think I remember I interviewed you before. You sort of said it literally started in the bedroom.
Yeah.
And it was bedroom to the ultimate bedroom to
rented flat. I mean,
flat. Whereabouts?
In Fulham.
Wow. Okay. All right. Well, it could be worse.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah. And I mean, how much? Like, so was that a shared flat with a random housemate, or? Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
Everybody's been there.
We've all been there. Yeah. We've all been. Yeah. I have to. I mean, yeah. And then you sort of like how hard was it? I mean, how did you get from the bedroom? How did you get out of the bed?
How did you get out of bed? Well, unbelievable. I went from bedroom to shoe closet, but I'll start from the beginning.
Okay.
So what happened is I quit my job without a next step. Then nobody gave me a job. Then I was like, I'm going to lose my visa. I mean, it was my life has been so stressful up until now. That's why The Apprentice was a breeze. But you know, I kind of hoped that I would get consulting jobs. So I said, I got a laptop. My investment was my laptop. I had £2,000 in my savings account, which would have paid for 4 months' rent, and without food, basically. And you know, kind of off I went, and I struggled. I mean, I didn't get my first big client, first real paying client, until after a year. And I mean, I had no idea what I was doing, quite frankly. I really didn't. And I didn't really understand sponsorship as an industry. I had done it, I had worked in it, but I was quite isolated into the sponsorship I was doing at the DMA. So when I came out and kind of started to, you know, I had so much time on my hands because I didn't have any clients. So I spent that time reading and blogging and commenting. I got my first speaking gig because I commented on an article on Marketing Week about gambling and sponsorship. And the more that I read about it, the more that I guess I found an opportunity about what I was doing and how it was being done, I guess, in the wider sports sponsorship world. And I thought I had, you know, a better niche and a better angle than what was being done. So unlike most people, and I think they would always tell you in business school, find a niche, then set up a business. I mean, I set up a business and then over time understood what I was doing. So
you built a solution and then went in search of the problem?
Yeah.
They do say don't do that.
Yeah, they say don't do that.
You tear up the rule book. That's an important, that's a good advice.
But you know, and then because I was commenting a lot on stuff, I think people started kind of I mean, most of my clients, my first clients, I didn't charge them. So I worked on a commission, I worked on a no-win, no-fee basis because I really believed in what I could do. That helped because I at least got some clients under my belt. I was at least doing some work. I, you know, was kind of successful, and that led on to more clients. But I mean, it took a year and a half to move out of my bedroom, maybe. I mean, maybe not that long. It was a while. Maybe it was 7 months. It took a while. And so my first office was given to me for free from an ex-client at the DMA who had some desk space. So they were super kind, which is why, I mean, like, make friends everywhere you go, because that I wouldn't have been where I am today without that. So they gave me a first office. My second office was like kind of free. But then we got unceremoniously kicked out because our landlord didn't pay the rent and lost all our laptops. So that was fun in the first year of business.
The bailiffs took the laptops?
Yeah.
Oh, my goodness me.
And then
brutal.
So then I was scared, so I did a lot of shared working spaces. So I was a member of the hospital club, so I was working there, that kind of thing. And then eventually we had 2 staff members And I mean, we couldn't keep working at the hospital, come on laptops. And so I moved into the cheapest office space I could find, which was a shoe designer shoe closet at the Business Design Center.
Wow.
Like, no joke.
In Islington?
No, in Islington, no joke. So all the shoes were like above our head. I mean, ask any of my first employees, they'll tell you. it was this one, you would have space to walk in and then sit, and you can barely move around.
What kind of shoes were they?
They're bridal shoes. It was called Freya Rose, bridal shoes. Yeah.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
Could you get like a bit of extra commission selling the shoes as well?
Should have asked.
If you don't want any sponsorship, what about the?
Yeah, I should have asked that.
Fantastic. So okay, but by now there's 3 of you.
Yeah.
So you're doing all right. I mean, I mean, when you hired people for the first time, what was that like? Like, I mean,
So
did you have to
hard.
sort of like make them a promise, and you were sort of thinking in the back of your head, I don't know if I'm actually going to be able to, like, sort of deliver that without paying other people's wages and stuff.
No,
like that.
so paying having had my bad experience about being an employee, and also being the type of person, I mean, I am demanding as a person, as a boss, as a friend. I have exceptionally unrealistic high demands on people. So I was very much aware of that, and so with that comes also hopefully a bunch of success. But I always was prepared to pay somebody's salary for a year.
Okay.
Always. So I did not hire somebody until I had my first £24,000 in the bank account to pay somebody. And I mean, I was barely paying myself, really. Any kind of profit that I had, it went back into hiring people.
Why £24,000? A lot of money. I mean, when you
It's a lot of money.
think about, just watching the final of The Apprentice. I mean, they were talking about the numbers they were doing, and it was nowhere like that, was it? I mean,
What do you mean?
I think with the swimwear brand and the nut milk, I don't think they were posting those kind of figures.
I had enough cash that I'd made from Slingshot to hire my first employee, and I had that as their salary. So that was always the thing, and I didn't want to get scared. I didn't want to hire somebody, promise them the world, and then freak out and then fire them.
Yep.
So that's how I did the first one, and that's kind of how I employed people moving forward, really.
Yeah.
Because we're in sales as well. It's not like somebody's going to hit the ground running. It takes time. And I mean, we employed cheap people. We employed young people. I mean, my first employee, Mark Milam, who's like a superstar in sponsorship. I do think it's because of me, or at least I found him. Yeah. I mean, he was a ski instructor before he worked with me.
Nice.
And we hired people like that were looking for an opportunity in sponsorship, which is an incredibly difficult industry to break into. And with that offer, I mean, came a lower wage, came incredibly hardworking hours, came incredibly difficult boss. But it was great.
And you had some big wins. Any notable clients or sort of people that?
Yeah, so we worked with Prince, the musician, in the first year. Yeah, I did the valuation, the consulting for the Rolling Stones. Year 2. I mean, I've worked with some crazy celeb clients, which has been great.
The craziest? Who's the craziest?
Well, I mean, in crazy terms, the musicians are pretty crazy for not the best reasons. But my favorite clients are probably the most boring. So, What Car and Haymarket were my favorite clients. They were my first client. They took a chance on me. They're super loyal through. I love them. I loved working with them and the whole team. We work with Richard Branson as well, so lots of events on Necker Island. I mean, that's a good work for him.
Did you go to Necker Island?
I've been to Necker Island multiple
Really?
times. Yeah.
What's it like?
Beautiful. I mean, I was just like, because I mean, I do lots of cool stuff because we had lots of cool clients. So I was thinking, it's just some guy's house on an island. It's amazing. It's so amazing. It's seriously amazing. It's so homey, but so luxe. It's in a beautiful place. It's a bitch to get to, but it's incredible. It's incredible.
Isn't it? Did you use the loo? There's at the top of the island or something. He's put a
hot
loo.
Tub. Oh yeah, there's that. There's also
a
hot tubs called the Bird's Nest, which is on the top. There's a zip line. Yeah, it's fun. It's super fun.
Wow.
Yeah, I go probably twice a year.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow. And Branson's a nice guy.
Lovely guy. Super lovely guy. Super fun. So easy. I mean, it's different now, I suspect, because he's done a lot of his work, so now he's spending a lot of time on things that he's passionate about.
Right.
So
Yeah.
ocean conservation and that kind of stuff. So he is super relaxed, super chill.
Who would you rather start a business with, Lord Sugar or Richard Branson?
Well,
Richard Branson.
I mean, I don't think I'm very good at starting business with anybody. So I mean, I think
Neither of them. Turn them both down.
Well, I mean, Lord Sugar fired me, so at least Richard Branson hasn't fired me yet.
He did. Yeah, he fires everyone, doesn't he? But okay, then you sold Slingshot sponsorship.
Yeah.
So you've done all this stuff and everything, and that was
2016. 2016. I sold in 2016 in end of August. I worked for a year to help with the transition. My last day was November 28th, 2017. Just in time to apply for The Apprentice.
Fantastic. That's good timing. Did you see The Apprentice was coming? You were like, well, I better sell the business pretty quick now, though.
I mean, I had always looked at it, and I'm sure, like most people, just yelling at the screens, being like, "Why are you calling an airline jetpop?" But and I'm hyper competitive, and I love to do everything.
Yeah.
And I would never have done it before, mostly because I think I would have been worried about my reputation. Because at the end of the day, I mean, I'm not stupid. The show is about making mistakes. That's what makes it funny and hilarious.
Yep.
And also the type of personality I am. I mean, it's very possible I could have came across horrible. But I'd sold my business. I felt like I'd built up enough goodwill to kind of save me in the event that I came across horribly on television. So I think that's why I applied.
I think that was something that you've... Okay, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, of course.
I think a lot of apprentice candidates would just be like, "Oh, I'm great, I'm wonderful, I'll just go in there."
No.
Oh, well, actually, I'm not. So,
no.
Okay, before we talk about that, because I just want to sort of say, just in terms of like selling a business, like if you had to sort of say like 3 things for entrepreneurs considering selling their business and stuff, I mean, how do you even how do you value it? Did they approach you? Did you approach them?
So it started with looking for investment, ironically, because I wanted to scale, and our industry is very difficult to find really good senior people, and you have to be both creative and commercial, which is difficult to find both those skill sets in one person. Usually people take one track, so you get very good at sales or very good at creative.
Yep.
So I was originally looking for investment, and in those discussions people were like, "Oh, would you consider selling?" And I kind of thought, I didn't think anybody would buy us, because I am so part of the business.
You are the business, yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Without you, the business is... Yeah,
well, I mean, that's not true, but I think that is definitely the impression. I mean, I built a really good brand. A lot of our clients didn't even know I existed, but I kind of just thought that would be the reason that it would be hard to sell. So I had somebody approach me, and somebody approached me, and then the most amazing company approached me, and then I heard about somebody potentially interested in buying companies. So what I did is I got everybody all excited and then negotiated the hell out of it.
Yeah, good.
So tip number 1: get get a bidding war. Get options on the table.
And how brazen can you be?
I was like, this is what I've been offered. This is what I'm looking at doing. You need to throw some more money at this deal. And I mean, the deal I went for was, I went for it because it was financially a better deal.
Right.
And also it had different things in it. So a lot of the other deals had quite significantly long earnouts, which wouldn't have been bad, and actually if I would have grown the business as I would have done anyways, it would have been hugely profitable. But I wanted to do something different. I felt I had kind of succeeded in growing that business to the best of my ability at the time with the best clients that I could have achieved, and I had a lot of fun doing it, but I wanted something different.
Yep.
For my life. So I was really, the earn-out thing for me was the kicker. So I got lots of cash up front, but actually it was the earn-out, the lack of an earn-out, which is why I took the deal I took.
Okay, fantastic. Well, look, we're going to take a very quick break, and then after that, we're going to talk about The Apprentice. Obviously, we're going to go into some serious detail. So all you fans out there are going to get the inside story, and we're also going to talk about, of course, what Jackie did next. So stay with us.